Hey guys, it's me. I didn't exactly want to do the video like this. I wanted to do it in a more fancy background, and a little bit more professional, but I see that that's not going as planned. So, I was feeling a bit weird, to be honest, and I decided to just make the video. So I'm gonna do a little intro. This is probably gonna be a vlog style videos, just because I just like talking. I feel like that's what I do best. That sounds weird, but it's true. Yeah, I want to reiterate, guys, that I'm not a professional. I'm just basing all the stuff that I'm going to be telling you on my personal experiences, and I don't want to cause anybody any PTSD or panic attacks. I don't want to upset anybody. So when I do get to those videos that do have some mature content, we'll call it, I will put a disclaimer in the video, or try to, if I can figure out how to edit. And then I'll put it in the description too. So, because I don't want to hinder anyone else's healing or cause anyone unwanted stress. So also with that, I'm going to be talking solely on my perspective and what happened to me based on my side. Everyone knows there's two sides to every story, but I'm not going to be naming names because that wouldn't be fair. Just because someone did something horrible doesn't mean that they should get their name dragged on the internet. So, that being said, let's just get into talking about me a little bit, because you guys aren't here to answer me. So, my name's Megan. I'm 22 years old. I play football. I have 3 cats, a dog, a fish, and a gecko. And I'm a pretty normal human. I do have anxiety and depression and PTSD. Nothing like veterans of war by any means, but I do struggle with it. Mainly my depression is pretty manageable right now, despite it being winter. Some people get the seasonal depression. I do not. I'm pretty good as long as I get out of the house and I keep myself busy. Not to say that there's days that I just want to stay in bed. Yeah, my anxiety and PTSD are the worst. Currently, I might actually do a whole video on this. We'll see. If there's any interest, I can go into more depth about my diagnosis and stuff. Sorry guys, I'm just gonna check some stuff online to make sure that I'm pronouncing stuff right. So, basically, my PTSD and anxiety go hand in hand. So, what I actually was looking at some stuff today, and I realized something, and I'm going to go into a little bit of depth of it right now, before I get into the whole purpose of the video. So I got AGORAPHOBia. AGORAPHOBia. I can't pronounce it, but put the name right there. Tell me, sorry, I know it's running. I'll put the name right in the bottom, or right here, if I remember. But it's AGORAPHOBIA. So what that is it's a type of anxiety disorder in which you fear and avoid places or situations that might cause you to panic, make you feel trapped, or helpless, or embarrassed. So, I didn't know this was actually a thing, but it makes sense because I've experienced this multiple times. For those of you who don't know, I am a survivor, not a victim, of sexual assault. I was sexually assaulted twice in my life by 2 different individuals, but we're just going to focus on the second one right now because that was the most impactful. That's a word. But right now, we're just going to talk about before this. So before the sexual assault happened, this word that I can't pronounce yet, is happen to me. So for those of you who don't have anxiety, good job. Praise yourselves every day for not having it. I struggle with it a lot, as I have mentioned. So this is the kind of thing that I thought panic attacks were of. Most of my panic attacks just get me, like, I'm nervous, I don't want to get up, I don't want to go into class, I don't want to be in attention. So I like to stay in the background, I like to be invisible as much as I can. Such as things like talking in restaurants, or calling on the phone, or, going into class late. That kind of stuff gives me just normal panic attacks. Well, there's 2 instances where I became extremely anxious to the point where it was bad. So when you hear panic attacks, you think of like shaking, not being able to move and stuff like that. Well, this happened to me both in bars. Once I was completely sober, once I did have a drink, because I wanted to see which would be worse. The first time is the one I was in a local pub. I had one drink, not even, I had a sip. I instantly became uneasy, instantly became, worried, and I had to come out and get my car. Well, when that happened, I had to lay the seat down, and I began to shake. And I don't mean like shake, I mean like vibrate. And if someone had looked in, they probably would have thought I was having a seizure. I was not. I became very nauseous and cold, as well as shivering, and I could not move. So at the time, I had to be driven back to a house where I would lay down, and I had to lay completely still. I couldn't cross my feet, I couldn't roll over, I had to lay completely like a board in bed until the shaking stopped. So that was the first time. The second time, I didn't have any alcohol, anything. I was completely sober. I went to a different club. This one was like a dance place, and I was sitting. I thought it was fun. I kept talking to myself of, you're gonna be fine. Self-talking, which does help for some people. I like to do the I have a picture of it, that's why. I like to doing a grounding exercise that I find that really helps. If I can find the picture, I'm going to scroll right fast. Okay, so this grounding exercise really works for me. And it may work for you, it may not. Everyone's different. So, you have to look around and identify these things. So first, you start with your sight. You start with 5 things. So if I was in this room right now and I was having a panic attack, I would say, I see a couch, that's 1. I see a blanket on the couch, that's 2. Picture, lamp, and wall, so that's 5. Then you go to 4 things that you can feel. So I can feel my shirt, I can feel a pillow beside me, right here. I can feel my phone, and I can feel the pressure of myself sitting on the couch. Next is 3 things you can hear. So first thing I can hear is the air conditioning in my house. I can hear myself talking, and I can hear my cat Russell over there when she's sleeping. Okay, you got that down. 2 things you can smell. Right now I smell my shampoo conditioner, and the second thing I can smell is like the smell of my house. It's a very bad explanation, sorry. And then the last thing you do is the one thing you can taste. So it doesn't have to be something that you can actually taste. You just need to think of something you can taste. And these things aren't something you can, it doesn't have to be in the moment. You can also, the things you can smell and taste, you can think of something completely different. So you can think of, coffee and, cupcakes and cake and stuff. So one thing you could taste is you could try and taste, cake or, bacon. I can't eat those because I have other issues. But that will bring you down. So what it does is it makes your mind go from frantic to it's focusing on each little task. I was doing that in this club and it was not working. So what I did was I grabbed my keys, I went outside and laid in the car. Again, shaking, nausea, chills feeling that were different from the shaking, and I could not move. So I instantly knew that these type of places right now, I was not strong enough to handle it myself. So I could not go into these places. Not right now. I wasn't strong enough. Sorry, my laptop's timing out. So I have decided to avoid those places until either I become stronger, or really I don't have any urge to go into a bar or pub or club anyway. So there's not really any need. If there's a need, I'll come to that when it gets to that point. But there's something else that I learned that my friend taught me. She's a nurse. And I'm going to really quickly get to the point of this video because I see it's already 10 minutes. So, when someone is having that type of panic attack, again, doesn't work for everybody, but I find that this works, is you take someone and you hug them. And I'm not talking about like a gentle hug. What you need to do is basically wrap your arms around the person and squeeze. What this does is constricts their nervous system and stops the rapid firing of the neurons or whatever's happening in your brain to cause you to panic. And it relaxes your body and you just feel secure. So, if this is something that works for you, I strongly suggest that you get your family members, your friends, or your significant others to hug you, okay? And I've taught this to a couple people since that time because in case this does happen again. There is moments where I can feel it happening and I've gotten to the point where I can get it to reverse slightly, but I'm still learning. Now, I'm going to do a whole video on that, probably reiterate the same points I just spoke of, but that is okay. This time, or next time I do a video, I'll probably answer more question-like things. So, the whole point of this video was I wanted to start off something simple, and what came to mind was talking about consent. Consent for me might mean something than you. So, what I'm going to do is I have the definition up on my phone. It's on the Webster's Dictionary website. So, I'm just going to read it. I looked at a couple of them. You can look at the verb or the noun. I'm looking at the noun right now because that better explains it and I can better understand it myself. So, if you go to Webster's Dictionary, you can't see that, but there you go. I'm looking at the second one because it's very easily to understand. It is an agreement as to an action or opinion. So, before I stop there, before I go further, consent can be given and taken whenever. There's no amount of consent you can give, and there's no amount of consent that if you give consent, you can't take it back. It is extremely what are you comfortable with. So, consent in an ideal world, to me, should be given at every point. So, that being said, it should be given at kissing, hugging. Every time you go to have a physical interaction with someone, you should ask consent. And that might sound silly to some of you, but think about it. If you want to make sure that that person's comfortable, why not ask? And, if you're younger, then yes, it might be a little awkward. But, better safe than sorry. And it doesn't have to be some random person that you have to give consent to. It can be your significant other. And it doesn't matter the sex or the identity of that person to you. They need your consent. If you do not consent to it, then that's a whole other topic that we will talk about later on. So I'm curious, what does consent mean to you? What do you think about consent? And tell me your stories. I will never post anything that you guys don't want me to. But if you guys have a story, I would love to hear it. Most people think of consent is that it's a one-time deal, especially if you're in a relationship. What it actually is, like I said, it can be given and taken whenever and how many times you want. Now, ideally, you're with a person that will accept that. Sometimes you're not. Some people think that if you take away consent, you're being a tease. That's not true. Don't ever think that because you are uncomfortable and you don't want to say stop, that you're going to be a tease. You need to be comfortable with yourself, okay? So don't worry about that. If you can understand that, or you are just now learning about consent and you finally have like a little intuition about it or a little bit of knowledge, that's the only thing I can ask for. Now, like I said, I want you to comment below and see what you guys think of consent. There's not going to be any hate comments, sorry. I will be taking those off my videos. I want this to be a really positive area. I can learn from you and you guys can learn from me. Our brains are huge. There's not a capacity limit. This is something that is just to open up the conversation. And that's what I'm trying to do. And so for my first video, comment what you think. Comment anything really. If you guys want me to talk about something specific in the next video or go more in depth about this, I can do more research. Just let me know. And also if you ever want to know any resources, I can help you with that as well. Once again, I'm not in any way a professional in this. I'm just opening up the conversation and getting people talking. Now, I want to thank you for taking the time to to watch my video. I hope that it helped a little bit, and I hope you'll come back for the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I can get my words right, and I will see you guys next time. Have a good night, and stay freaking gorgeous.